What if the quest for power and salvation in a crumbling kingdom mirrored the alienation and exploitation of our own society? Dark Souls 3 doesn't just challenge players with its punishing difficulty, it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths about humanity and oppression. Dark Souls 3 is an action role-playing game developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco in 2016. The Souls series is known for its challenging yet rewarding gameplay, deep lore, and its atmospheric world design. The third installment of the series takes place in the dark fantasy world of Lothric, a kingdom on the brink of collapse due to the fading of the First Flame. The Lords of Cinder, powerful beings who once sacrificed themselves to link the First Flame, have abandoned their thrones and left the world to slowly fall into an age of darkness. You play as the Ashen One, a resurrected undead. The Ashen One is a failed champion who has been tasked with seeking out the Lords of Cinder and returning them to their duty to preserve the Age of Fire. Dark Souls 3 beautifully immerses players in a decaying, oppressive world where Marxist themes of alienation and dehumanization are mirrored in the social hierarchy and exploitation of labor, while the game mechanics themselves create an experience that forces the player to pose the question, am I truly the good guy? Dark Souls 3 has many bosses and powerful enemies that stand at the top of a metaphorical castle. These are the elites of the world. They are the ones you must defeat to achieve your goal, whatever that may be at the time. The smaller and weaker foes who stand in between you and them are their servants. These servants are often ghouls and beasts that were once human, but have lost their sense of identity and autonomy, becoming mindless servants to their higher power. The elites want their subordinates to be alienated from their own humanity and morals, reducing them to mere cogs in the machine of oppression and societal collapse. This resonates with Marx's theory of alienation. Marx argued that in a capitalist system, workers become alienated from their essence as human beings. Marx also noted that in systems of oppression, the working class is dehumanized and treated as tools rather than as individuals. The servants, despite how weak they are essential to maintaining the power of the elite. The elite rely on their hierarchy of servants to uphold their safety, their societal standing, and prevent civil disobedience. Yet the true power of this system lies not just in the exploitation of the weak, but in their inability to recognize or resist their oppression, a concept Marx described as false consciousness. Why don't they rebel? Why do they keep serving a system that exploits them? It's because they've lost hope. Just like Marx's idea of false consciousness, they don't even see a way out of it. False consciousness refers to when the oppressed are unaware of their own oppression or have lost all hope in the possibility of a rebellion. We could look at the hierarchy of enemies in the world and how it correlates with the type of false consciousness. The weakest enemies have completely lost hope in the possibility to rebel. Take the hollow soldiers of Lothric. They find themselves in a position where they may want to rebel, but they are aware of their strength, or lack thereof, which makes the idea of overthrowing their leader so far out of reach that their only option is to fall in line and follow orders. A similar situation is currently happening in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, where young and old Russian men are being conscripted and put on the front lines, with execution being the punishment for desertion. Now if we go back to Dark Souls, and we take a look higher up in the hierarchy, we can find powerful enemies such as Vort of the Boreal Valley. Vort is a very large and powerful creature who serves as a knight and guards the gates of Lothric. He could have a fair chance of winning if he ever decided to betray his tyrannical leader, Pontiff Sullivan, but he has stayed loyal as a dog, even referred to as such by that whom he swore to protect. He has become the perfect soldier, only doing as he's told and never straying from it. What made him this way is unclear, but I can definitely say whoever or whatever is responsible did a damn good job creating the perfect tool. The experience of playing Dark Souls 3 is different for everybody. On the surface, the game can be played like any other game, which is exactly why it is so interesting. The game slowly immerses you. You begin to love it and hate it. And slowly, as you talk to more people and hear more stories, you start to truly value certain people and want to protect them, while others you may hate and decide to murder. There is no right or wrong ending. The game is meant to be felt, meant to be experienced, as with all other forms of art. My personal experience went something like this. When I first started playing, I thought, okay, kill ghouls, get loot, save the world. Easy, right? But then, I got hooked. I plowed through every enemy who got in the way of me and the next juicy piece of loot. I was collecting gear and weapons because I needed to be the strongest. I was working towards killing the Lord of Cinder so that I can link the First Flame to save Lothric. When the time came to do so, I distinctly remember beating him on my first try and thinking, that was pretty easy, and just checking him off on the list of bosses to kill. My true goal all along was power. I was blinded by power. All I cared about was having every item and having killed every boss, thus making me the most powerful being in the world. The equipment I was getting no longer served any use to me because I already had all the best gear. Marx calls this commodification. Quote, a commodity is, in the first place, an object outside of us, a thing that by its properties satisfies human wants of some sort or another. Marx 45. I was turning countless lives into my commodities, and my loose understanding of the story had me questioning, have I become what I spent so long trying to defeat? So when I finally reached my ultimate goal, I sat there, alone, feeling empty. I had reached the end. There was no one left. I was insurmountable. So the only thing left to do was to do it all over again. During the player's journey, upon killing an enemy, the player will receive an amount of souls relative to the enemy's strength. Souls can be collected and used to buy items and level up, representing both currency and personal growth. The direct connection between taking a life and getting an item reflects how in a capitalist society, many workers are only valued for their ability to produce. The Ashen One gains strength by exchanging souls of their enemies, perpetuating a cycle wherein personal gain is directly tied to the downfall of others. Dark Souls 3 not only challenges players with its punishing gameplay, but also serves as a chilling metaphor for a society in collapse, where the cycle of exploitation, alienation, and dehumanization mirrors Marxist critiques of capitalism. Through its immersive mechanics, it forces the player to confront their role in perpetuating these systems, making it a uniquely personal and philosophical experience. In the end, Dark Souls 3 asks us, in our quest for power, are we any different from the oppressors we seek to overthrow? It's a question only you can answer.